Family Karma fam.
Hi, Family Karma Kast.
I said Family Karma fam, the double fam. Makes it extra intimate.
Absolutely. Here we are, 2 episodes before the end. Recapping the penultimate episode.
The second to the last.
Yes, it's like, I can't believe it's been a good, like, I have to say, I'm annoyed that there's not going to be a reunion, obviously, but they did give a good amount of episodes this season. Like 15 episodes is a real season.
Yeah, that's really solid. I'm so curious to see what the ratings are. I mean, ratings even matter because everyone streams?
Well, so this is the question, is like, the ratings that come out, like, is it just the people who watch live? Like, what does that capture? It's not really clear, but from what I can tell, so TV Deets on Instagram, like, has all the information and of all the Bravo shows and their ratings. And Family Karma, like, the top shows are like Potomac. Like Potomac is really high up there right now. I think that's the only Housewives show that's really, and that's getting like 900,000 viewers per episode, and Family Karma is more like 400,000, which is still pretty good. Like, some of the other shows are like way below that, like 150 to 2, you know. So like Family Karma does pretty well ratings wise. I was told that was the reason they didn't get a reunion, but that doesn't track really, I think. And it's just, there's so many things that they could get into during this reunion. It just seems like a lost opportunity. But I guess what's happening is, after this week, after the finale, Vishal, Richa, Amrit, and Nicholas are all going to be on Watch What Happens Live.
Oh, it's going to be a mini panel.
Yeah, like, I don't know if like Richa and Nicholas will be behind the bar or if they'll like actually be sitting. Sometimes they have 4 people.
Yeah.
So it was filmed last week, so we'll see how it goes. It should be interesting. It doesn't really make up for a reunion, but at least it's something, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm
just like so sick of being mad at Bravo.
Yeah, and speaking of Bravo content, we just want to emphasize that we have a Patreon that a lot of people are missing out on. A lot of people.
Yeah.
I know the numbers, and I know the content that is there because I edit it and co-host it with my lovely Indra. And you're not my lovely Indra. You're everyone's lovely Indra.
I'm your lovely. I can be your lovely.
Thank you.
I can be other people's lovely too.
And you know what? It's like, yes. And so I just want to emphasize that you are not listening to the juice.
Oh yeah. We get into
that is on there. It's the juicy stuff.
It's all other Bravo content. It's
pop
culture, just like musings, recommendations, all that jazz. And we thank you to everyone who supports us there already. And you can join us $3 a month and you get a new episode every week. And what's cool about it, which I didn't realize before we started our Patreon, is you can like add the RSS feed from the Patreon into your podcast
It's
app.
direct. So you're not you can get this content and you can get that. So you'll have 2 Family Karma Casts episodes
in your podcast app feed. Whatever you use, you can just add it right in there, and you don't have to like go into a different app and all that, because sometimes that can be a barrier. I understand that. Yes.
And we are you know, we're always like revved up and you know, have a bee in our bonnet, if you will, about something.
I know, we're always complaining about
culture.
something.
I know. Oh, and this week,
also,
like Vanderpump, I made Andrew watch last night. I was like, listen, and he had a lot to say.
Okay, so that's going to be on the Patreon.
On the Patreon this week.
Join us there.
And Miami's there. I mean,
oh my God, Miami. The gift that has just keeps on giving.
And Potomac. Truly. And like, Ashley is breaking my heart. Like, she is breaking my heart. And that'll be, you know, we'll talk about that on this week's Patreon. And so I just want to direct people over to that because, I think it's a fun.
It's really fun.
We talk about, there's always like a Britney Spears, little clip in there that we highlight the good. We highlight the good.
We highlight the good. And tell a friend and join us. Patreon.com.
And don't forget to rate and review. Sorry to jump in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rate and review as well.
5 stars only. Just kidding. But, tell the ratings really help us kind of with, what would you say, get more listeners or just make us more well known?
It puts us, the algorithm picks you up more, the more activity that you have on your podcast, including reviews. So there's that. Patreon.com/FamilyKarmaCast with a K. Let's talk about the episode.
Yes, let's get right into it.
I mean, I feel like they're kind of framing this as like a 2-part finale.
Yeah.
Like the wedding episodes are like a 2-part finale. So like important stuff happened in this episode, and I also feel like not a ton happened in this episode.
A little bit of a filler, would you say?
A little bit, but also like, I mean, let's just like get right into that conversation.
Oh my gosh.
The heart of the episode.
Breaking. I know. And that's the thing. I think it's interesting to see storylines and tension rising in a lot of Bravo's storylines, except for the ones that are just like Bravo's trying to turn up the heat, and it just doesn't there was no storyline. So they do that. Like, just saying with Giselle and stuff, but we'll get into that.
And you can just see right through it. You can just see right through it.
And so, but this one was happening in real time. Emotions were elevating. Tension was building. You couldn't have written it for a novel any more clear, real, and better than what we saw take place in the hotel room.
Wow. Well, I just want to say, first of all, watching Theo prance around that hotel like such a good boy.
I was saying like a king. Like it might as well be his birthday, wedding, anniversary.
I'm just like, okay, you have dogs, I have dogs.
Yes.
My dogs like need to be on a leash. Like if I had them at a hotel,
with food around?
If I just let them walk around, like, with food around, whatever, like, no fucking way. Are you kidding? Like, it would be a madhouse.
With June, I've been posting, people have been asking me about June, and it's just hard because it's like when you have gorgeous dogs like we all have, and Theo, it's like we want them to shine, right? And glow. And I think June could do it. And I will say, though, I would call June and she would not come back. Does that make sense? Like she could do it, but would the rules be followed? Be like, no.
Yeah.
Like June, like that like older woman who's like frail, like you gotta like take it to a 2.
You cannot go over there.
And it would just be like, I do not understand, because June would be a very good like entertainer or greeter, but she knows no limits, and Theo is behaved. He knows limits. Because I watched it with my oldest last night, and we watch I don't want to say the puja.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, the puja.
You got it.
He pointed out, look at the dog laying down like a little good boy.
I know. He's I was like, how gentleman.
Well, it's like, what is it when you read the room? Which is like, I can't even do. And you can't do. Okay? We can, as humans, we can't read the room.
No, but Theo can read the room.
Theo is like, it is time to lay down and be a good boy. And forever respect. Because we've seen so many dogs. I mean, like... Can we talk about Kyle's dogs? Like me,
Kyle's dogs are always misbehaving.
That's you, and that's me, right? Like there's the German Shepherd one, which is like
that German Shepherd, and like she's always yelling at them, and I'm like, I can
see
relate.
each other, and it's like there's that, and we love Kyle. Like I love Kyle because of her love of animals, and but this is like this might as well be a gentle human being.
I just and I was like, I'm glad Theo's here for what's going to be a difficult conversation, which it absolutely was. So what were your takeaways from the conversation?
So I'm writing it down. So it's just it's so hard because it's like I wrote down this quote. from Nicholas, because he gave such a beautiful, poignant speech that I think a lot of folks, I know a lot of folks watching at home have felt about inadequacy and trying to live up to others' expectations and trying to fit into a box that you will never fit into. And I wrote, I'm lacking in something, therefore the wedding is lacking in something. And that...
Yeah.
And I think the thing is it's not only Nicholas and Amrit's journey through the wedding and the parents. I do feel like Amrit has been trying to juggle.
Yeah.
And at that moment, you really see him trying to break free of the juggling.
He's really...
Does that make sense?
This is a life-changing moment for him.
You can see his
really believe
the gears grinding, the tears, like the welling of the eyes, and like I'm getting emotional talking. I know this sounds so stupid, but
no,
I'm sorry.
No one was not crying.
I'm like crying
that.
right
and
now. But like I think like I don't know what it's like to be him and growing up in this Indian culture with just, you know, family is everything, and that's so beautiful. Yeah. And him trying to juggle, it's not even juggling. I don't think that's the right, this balance of you want to please your parents and you want to please your culture, and you're trying to you're inviting someone into this culture, and just like Nicholas just feeling like he's left behind, and Amrit just him growing to understand that. I don't know if I'm saying that right.
No, I think we're seeing it in real time.
What do you think?
I'm thinking about before they go to the hotel room with the parents, they're talking in bed together. And Nicholas points out to Amrit that he's protecting his parents. And
I love that. I understand that.
His number one kind of thing is like Amrit is protecting his parents. He's almost making excuses for them in some ways. And Nicholas is like, I can't hear that right now. That's like not what is going to help me move forward. And I think there's this delicate balance of like, of course you want to protect your parents, the family that you grew up in. They've done so much for you. But also at what expense of your new family that you're building with Nicholas. And he's figuring that out, and it's messy.
And that's the thing. It's like no one is at fault. And last night I went to group class, and something the professor said really hit me. I mean, it's always like this profound thing when I go to class. She was like, and her name's Dr. Daniel, and it's Dessa Daniel, and she's just like, I could sit through hours and hours of her just talking about life. And she said something that is so simple but is so true. It's like humans right now are not good at processing. We're just not. And it's very challenging because we're talking about group like processing and holding space for others. And I was thinking about that statement when I was watching Amrit processing, because he's trying that's the thing is I don't think we want to judge, right? We want to judge, and we want, especially with Bravo celebrities, we want to just like, I always say like grab the pitchfork or even the mini fork and just like poke.
Yep.
And Amrit trying to process that, but you can see the weight of the wedding is right there.
It's right there. I'm literally.
And so he's processing like this big event that his parents have helped paid for and planned. Yeah. And also it's this other like big weight of processing their relationship and Nicholas's, Nicholas, it's like, and that's the thing that like really broke my heart. Like I'm going to cry. I'm having a crying moment. But like when Nicholas was saying, like when we first interviewed him, like my parents loved me. I was like, there is no fucking doubt in my mind. Sorry, I'm crying so much. I was like, I never second guessed how much your parents loved you with all of their heart. I mean, Nicholas is this incredible human being. And that comes from love. Like just by him being who he is, I was like, your parents did a great job. He's
so empathetic. He's so thoughtful. Like he the way he speaks even is so like measured, and he really thinks about how he's communicating, and that really came through to me when we interviewed him, like just how much he
thoughtful,
like really
Sorry,
He's
I'm
so
talking so much and
thoughtful.
crying. I just want to, I'm a little like
No apology.
I'm just like
listen,
this. I just,
on our Instagram, the amount of people who are like, I cried and
know.
cried and cried. Like,
I'm just-
and that's the thing is like, this is really real stuff that we all go through.
Yeah.
And in different ways in our relationships
There's
and
so much
family
love.
life. And there's
what
so
did
much
you
love.
think? I
There
feel like
really
I'm
is.
talking so much. I'm so sorry. I'm just like processing it too.
No, absolutely. I think it's like, I thought it was such an incredible scene to watch. The part that really got me, which the thing about Nicholas and all these people coming for him, like Nicholas is so ungrateful, blah,
Who
blah,
the
blah.
fuck
like
is saying that? I will fucking.
so many people online. I kid you not.
What
Like I've
the fuck?
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
like,
people. I will fucking take off my headphones now, and I will fucking fight
when
you. I'm kidding.
When he touched Lavina Auntie's feet.
Oh my
Like
god!
if you are Indian
Yeah.
and you saw that
like-
sign of respect
Yeah.
is like next level. Like it really like he did not. People are like, oh, he's making her cry, blah, blah, blah. It's like, did you see how he was trying to comfort her in that moment? Did you see the hug that he gave her?
Yeah.
Like it was him having empathy for her and what she was feeling while also not backing down on how he was feeling,
Yes.
which I think is a really hard place to be in. And Nicholas does it really well. One other thing that like kind of jumped out to me was Suresh uncle kind of saying like, this is like for Indian families, like it's about families coming together and you knew what you signed up for. I thought it was a little harsh.
But then I feel like he's processing. He's verbally because he starts there, and I was like, oh, he started there. Yes, and he started there, and then the trail of thought goes, the verbal processing goes. But this is about you. This is about you. If you want to call it off and we do something intimate, this is your thing. And I think it's like we expect. Okay, so we live in this Instagram period. Like, give me this. I'm going to do this like little thought process myself. Where we want immediate results, right? It's like, it's like we have the thing where I look like shit and then I put my hand over the camera in Instagram and then I look like I'm going to like a Potomac reunion. Yes. And it's like we do not see this like this processing period because everything's so instantaneous. And so therefore like I am going to go back to like humans. It's processing is hard for us, and I don't think as people watching processing, sometimes we go in with these these expectations of like, well, I'm gonna only harp on the first part rather than like and I'm so emotionally attached to what Amrit's dad is saying at first that I can't let go and open my chest and my heart to like I'm gonna cry again, like where he ended up of of just like, you know what, but that is that, but I am here now.
Yes. And I think that that's so true. It's like, I think, and I'm guilty of this. I go into these things sometimes being like,
I don't want to say,
expecting that they've already done the processing and then whatever they're saying is like
first.
After, but it's not. Like in this scene, like you said, he's a perfect example of someone who said some things that were maybe kind of hurtful, but then he got to a place.
In one breath. And we're thinking of like, so say like Erica Jane, the non-evolution of Erica Jane. And I can't think of a better example of like, why the fuck should I get rid of these diamond earrings? You know what I mean? Yeah. And we're not seeing this like character development over a season because we want Erica Jane to realize that orphans and widows, the whole thing that Dorit said. But I think also is like... The reason, like, I'm just thinking about the reunion is like we're seeing processing in real time, and it's not such polarizing. Like they are polarizing because they're Bravo characters, but like sometimes I feel like it's like Bravo audience that just wants the pitchforks and shit like that. It's like this is like too emotionally much for them. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, like. They're not willing to do the work too.
Yes.
Because it's like as a viewer, you need to also process. And I think that like and Lavina Auntie too was processing.
Oh my
here.
gosh!
When they bring up the BMW scene and how hard that was for them to watch, and
she's processing.
She's like, yeah, that is how I felt, but we've accepted you, like, and this, we're so happy, and you're our son, and all these things. It's like it's messy, and like at the end, Amrit says, we know it's not perfect, like we're gonna call it imperfectly perfect. Like, that's so true, I think, of every relationship, like that, like where people are working towards being perfect, but knowing that you're never really gonna get there.
And that's the life's journey. And it's like when perfectionism maybe hits you, then you die. And I'm a firm believer that, life is a journey, and
it is.
And we all love in different ways.
Yes.
And I think when I saw them all talking, it's like, did you ever remember like Care Bear Stare? Like when the Care Bears would get together and then the shit would shoot out of there.
And the lights, yes.
And I felt like they were Care Bearing staring on different mountaintops. But they were Care Bearing staring. But they were trying to figure out, like, Nicholas is Care Bearing staring, like, with the sunshine, and Amrit has the daisies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And everyone's Care Bearing staring, like, their heart, and they needed to see that. And this is just going to be an ongoing conversation. And hopefully this sparked the way we think about our own relationships and the way people love us. And it's not always perfect because we have these expectations.
Yes. One other thing that I want to talk about is the fact that, like, I'm trying to put myself in Nicholas's position as like someone, like, I come from an Indian background and whatever, and like Indian traditions and ways of doing things can be overbearing. And I think that we're seeing that play out with Nicholas, and we have to have sympathy there, because if it's me and I'm with someone who's like super Christian or super whatever, something else, and they're trying to push their shit on me, my immediate reaction is no.
Yes.
Like, that's my immediate reaction. And Nicholas, on the other hand, he's out here planning a dance for Amrit. He's like learning how to cook Indian food. He's touching Lavina Auntie's feet. I mean, he's learning Hindi. Like, these are things that, like, I would never be caught dead doing, probably in service of someone else's culture, right off the bat, or it would take time. And it is 10 years in the making. But I think we just need to, like, give him some grace, like, because I'm seeing a lot of people sort of, again, not doing the processing, just saying, oh, you're so ungrateful. When it's like, but what about all the things that he has done to, like, be a part of this and want to do this, with Amrit.
Exactly. And I think it's that whole thing where, we live in America, and we have folks that, are not accepting of other cultures, and honestly in this country feel as if other cultures are harming this country. And for me, I think about, what is good enough, and I feel like the measure for what is good enough, especially when we're watching people on reality shows, it's always never going to be good enough. No one's going to be ever like grateful enough. Never. No one's ever going to be smart enough. No one's going to ever be independent enough, and all these things. And I feel as if it is that thing where we watch it through a screen and we're judging someone harshly because we judge ourselves so harshly. And so I think it is one of those things where it's a learning process.
It is. It's like it is, and that's. Like,
I mean, I don't see Amrit wearing a cross. I mean, you saw in the. I think one of the things that impacted me the most of how important family and religion and Christianity was to Nicholas was when I saw him for the first time with his shoulder exposed, and he had a cross tattoo.
Oh my gosh, I noticed that.
And
I wonder when he got that.
That's a big deal. And I'm not saying it's a big deal, but you can see it was such an integral part of his life. And
it's a symbol that's meaningful to him that comes from a tradition.
And there is like this thing I can say in Catholicism, and I don't want to speak for other Christian sections, that shame is built into Catholicism. It's just built in.
Yeah.
You should be ashamed for even just like walking the planet, for being human, for being female, for being gay, for being all these things.
Yeah.
And I think I think there's that thing also, which he kind of didn't, he kind of talked about when, I was brought up for XYZ of feeling shameful and not being proud of who I was. And I think when you leave a religion, and I don't want to speak for him, but I can speak for myself, and gain independence, there's a lot of shame in that too. No matter how, great, like how independent you are and how good you feel about it, there's a lot of shame being carried. Yeah. And then to latch on to someone else's culture and religion or what have you, it is like you feel a little bit of betrayal to your ancestors and your family and all of that.
Yeah, and I'm sure, it's there's so much that's involved in this.
And he went through what it sounds like feelings. Conversion therapy, which is a fucking huge deal.
Yeah, that's wild. So yeah, this was big. I think this was really the heart of the episode, and so we tackled that first. I think that I just thank them for letting us be a part of this journey, and for them to, they're just so, it's so real. Like, you can tell this is just what is happening, and we're watching it, which is so refreshing, because on Bravo, I think a lot lot of stuff we see
got Teresa's and Louis wedding spinoff. What are we doing?
No, I don't give two shits about that. I give a shit about this though,
and I don't give a shit. I'll say it on the Patreon too. Is the family drama between Melissa and Joe and Teresa versus, I don't even want to call this drama, but teasing out what's going on with Nicholas and Amrit. I think that is just more compelling and interesting and more of the human spirit than this manufactured bullshit that Melissa and Joe are doing.
Yeah, and it's I have no interest in that other bullshit. I am very invested though in these stories. It's amazing, and it's there's so much to be learned from it, and I'm glad that we're all having a chance to process it together, to use that term again.
And I do want to say, it's I go there. I go on I don't read the Daily Mail anymore because they hate women, but I go on.
Fair.
I do go on delisted, which is not very kind, which I need to work on, in page 6. And I'm getting better, but usually my initial reaction is to criticize, right? And you've heard me on this podcast and be like, well, why the fuck, fill in the blank.
Yep.
And then that just says so much more about me than, and my interacting with someone I don't know than what the situation is that the pop culture news is covering. And I do want to not criticize, but I do want to open up the idea for those who just kind of are quick to criticize on social media and what have you, and just in their head of just well, what's going on with you? What's going on with you right now? And what are you feeling? And why?
Totally. And social media doesn't have a lot of room for those conversations, which is too bad. But
internal processing and doing the work yourself, and I know I sound like a therapist, is so powerful.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so I feel like the rest of this episode was kind of a little bit of filler, but also some funny moments. Okay, so what do you... Lopa Auntie has blocked Vishal.
I know. I actually, and I just said not criticizing, and I do appreciate Lopa Auntie, but
that's harsh.
I think it's hard, and I think Richa laughing about it is tough to watch. Tough. It does feel like sometimes it is 2 against 1.
Yeah. My read on it, and this is actually especially after interviewing them and having kind of a conversation with them over Zoom. I think Richa is actually very supportive of Vishal. Yes, I think that it's hard to see sometimes. I think she's almost laughing about it with Vishal because Vishal finds it so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous that she's blocked Vishal. It's just are you serious? Really? And then he calls her from an unknown number and she picks up the phone.
I think it would hurt me. Maybe I'm just it would hurt me intensely.
And I think I think Vishal is hurt by the situation, but I get the sense that it's truly more Lopa auntie, like the way she acts towards him does really cut him. I think the situation between Richa and Vishal is a little bit more of a playing thing.
Yeah. Like playful puppies.
Yeah. And I don't think that they would be together if it was like always her shitting on him.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that that's real. I think that they have like a real... She said in one of the seasons she has a soft spot for Vishal, and she does. I think it's just she has trouble showing it outwardly, and she's very honest about the fact that she doesn't want to do that.
We don't know a lot about her upbringing. Like, we kind of do and we don't. You know, we can... Yeah. We show love in different ways, you know? And
we do. And she says, I'm not an outwardly affectionate person. But just from watching them over the Zoom, I was like, these two are in love. They're in it. This is a healthy dynamic that I was witnessing just from what I saw. And I think it comes through in different ways. But I mean, yeah, absolutely. There is one way you could look at that and be like, oh, she's laughing at him. I want to believe that that's not the case.
Yes. And thank you. I want to believe too. And I think the thing is that we're seeing Lopa warm up though. I gotta say.
Yeah.
She's making... No. They're not like long strides, but they are baby steps. I do believe that.
When he needs help putting on his outfit. So like, this is a thing, like, any person out there that's tried to put on an Indian outfit, like, you have needed that kind of help before, because this clothing is so stiff, like it has no give, and it's like meant to fit you exactly. So like, you need someone to like literally pull it on. So yeah, it was just so funny, like seeing her pull that kurta on for her. Like, I have done that so many times with other Indian clothing and my parents, and the way she was laughing about it, I think it was like a little bit mean spirited, but it was also lighthearted. Like, Lopa is just kind of a harsh person.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things, and I'm guilty of it too. In uncomfortable situations and something that is emotionally hard, I make a joke, and not always the best, but it's just my way of processing. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I often laugh inappropriately in situations that I shouldn't be laughing in. Like, it's and apparently this is a common thing that people will, like, when something really awful happens, they'll like laugh somehow or like, so but yeah, I mean, we can all kind of give a little bit of grace there.
I think like also like we need to look at the aunties, and like we have all these, like we live in a white world, and we see this through a white lens, and we see, you know, we try to make sense through this new Western, you know what I mean? I'm American kind of, the way people act and whatever, through, I can say, like, my eyes, and it's just so narrow-minded, you know what I mean? And close-minded, and people are people, and people are from different cultures, and different cultures, you know, eye contact in certain cultures is not a thing, and I think we need to keep in mind that Bravo is, at the end of the day, a white lens. It is a white lens, and
it is.
You know, run by Andy.
Hello, Andy Cohen.
Yeah, who can't even pronounce folks' names. That are, in a sense, making money, but that's besides the point. But
that is totally the point.
But I think it is like, we can't, again, like what we're saying on this podcast always, like, the needle needs to swing. The needle needs to go back and forth. We can't be so rigid on like, well, I'm going to look at Lopa Auntie and Amrit's parents from like this rigid point. And it's like, we got to accept more and just be like, this is who Lopa Auntie is. And like I said before, it's like, I have honestly seen so much growth in her.
Yes.
I mean, she was such like the lone wolf on an island on season 1.
Absolutely.
And she is smiling and laughing and just like getting in the mix. And this is what we want from people. should be a part of a community and feel accepted.
Absolutely. And we've absolutely seen that growth with her.
Can I talk about Bali?
Yes.
Okay.
I was just going to go there. Okay, go. Bali.
Bali is the Miranda of Sex and the City.
I love it. We've got our Sex and the City.
So Miranda starts off on sex. I think Miranda has one of the best character growths of any television series. Like, and I probably talked about it on this show. Like, Miranda's like, this person, I'm this person, I have this stuff. But but Miranda through the course of the show she changes. She moves to Brooklyn. She has kids.
She's in a relationship with Steve, which is
who,
a very
like, owns
different
a bar,
Yeah.
She resists it, and Bali's life journey has taken so many turns that there's no way, like, of course Bali has not seen, like, could have foreseen. And she's the one who I'm like, she obviously, Nicholas and Amrith are doing this, but she's jumping fucking over hurdles.
I mean, to have
in the jungle, like okay, you have to like climb this like fucking tree and go down. Okay, now you have to climb a mountain and it's snowing.
And you would think that 15 plus years after her divorce, she wouldn't need to be dealing with her ex-husband's shit anymore. And then he takes her house away from her. Like, literally, that's what happened. Like, let's just say, like, he just.
Do you think it's spiteful because she left?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I just wanted to throw that out there.
And I think reading between the lines and maybe a couple things that I've heard or she said, like, yeah, I think it's absolutely Anushka's moving out. I'm not paying for your house anymore. Bye type situation, which is like, wait, what about the fact that Anushka is 18, but she's still living at home when she comes home from school breaks, and that this was where she grew up, and we see the emotional breakdown that she has in this season. Like, I would have been crushed if my family had moved out of the home I grew up in while I was in college. I would still feel that way, and I'm in my 30s.
So I lived in a house in high school for 3 years, and the second I graduated, my parents bounced out of state.
And how did you did you not care?
Well, I didn't go home. For a lot. I never moved back home.
You just stayed in New York.
I stayed in New York because it was like those, like, my friends from high school are still, I talk to them every day on chat. It's like that was my home base, and that's where I developed the most as a teenager, as a person up until that point. And they wanted me to come to. They moved back to Colorado, and I was like, I'm not going to go to Colorado. I'll just stay in an apartment in New York by myself. And it's like, to have that where it's like, you also like in college, freshman year is no fucking joke. People want to be like, it's the best time of your life, but it's a lot of fucking, like,
it's really hard.
It's really hard. You're out on your own, and you just want to go back to a home comfort, like a home base that's comfortable. And Anushka didn't have, like, he took that away. Whether he realized it or not.
It's just, it's not the same. And it's like she literally grew up in that house from age like 5 or 6 until that's like her home. So it's a huge thing. And Bali has had to go through it. And she says, like, I'm faking it well, but it's been really hard.
Yeah. And Bali's been independent. And now it seems like she can't be as independent because of her housing situation.
And I absolutely understand why she's nervous to move in with O'Malley, even though all the signals, everyone's saying O'Malley's going to be thrilled. He's like, it's not going to be an issue for him.
But Miami's not her home. Like, I mean, North Carolina or wherever he is, that's not her home.
He's in Kentucky.
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
But it's like, but I think it's like what she said about, like, I've had 2 failed marriages.
Yeah.
What if we take this next step and this one fails too?
Yeah.
Like, of course you would be worried about that. Of course. Like, it totally makes sense. I loved Anisha being like, you just need to move. Take it from me. I'm like, Anisha, stop giving relationship advice, please.
Apples and oranges. Apples and oranges.
Like, Anisha, we love you, girl, but
just
please stop giving relationship advice. Like, we'll see how things are going for you in 5 years, and then you can start giving relationship advice. She's like,
so I think and I do want to touch upon, because this was also a big thing, and I don't know how to process it, because I think I am looking through it through a white lens, and as is Monica and Rishi, and
yes,
Monica's
that
dad
whole situation.
I think okay. I want you to speak, because it's like I don't want to be so set on my opinions, because I just never grew up in a house with having a dad like that or parents like that. So I'd love to hear like your point of view, and I'm not saying you did too, but how much should the parents be involved?
Well, I grew up in an Indian family, and I feel like from day one of my journey in romantic relationships, it has been like, you don't call the shots for me in the decisions I make in my relationship, particularly when it comes around to like, are we going to live together? Are we going to do this? Like all these things. It's like, I make those decisions. And so I've had a sort of different view of it. And Monica says, like, I don't want my dad telling Rishi to like propose to me. And I don't think that he should be saying that either. I do think that him expressing like, I'm concerned about my daughter, she's like crying all the time, like, I think that's one thing. I think he clearly was like, you have my blessing, like just go ahead and do it. Like, he wanted to say some things, but I don't think that he should be like, Rishi, you need to get engaged now. Like, I think that was a little bit overstepping. And I understand where he's coming from. It, like when he said, you'll see when you have children, it's really hard to see your daughter cry like this.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. It's complicated.
It's so complicated. Yeah. And that's the thing, is because they do have this best friend, relationship, which is neither here nor there. And it was just so, I could see, and maybe I'm reading into it, Rishi just being like, oh, fuck, I am not sure about any of this. But maybe I was reading the room wrong.
I think you're absolutely right. And I'm pretty sure this is not going to go well. I guess we will see. Hopefully they're going to wrap it up.
Do you think they'll wrap it up?
I mean, if they don't, and if they don't wrap it up and we don't have a reunion, I'm going to be so effing pissed. Like, I just can't even, like... This has been a main plot point, maybe the main plot point of the season in a lot of ways. And we need to have some answers. And like, Monica's not going to be on Watch What Happens Live. Like, she hasn't been at all this season, which is kind of wild to me.
Can I just make one observation, is that it appears that Monica just feels emotionally beaten down.
She does. She's tired. She's exhausted.
Tired. And it's just hard, because I feel like as a female, you do so much in this world. Yeah. And she's a caretaker. She's blah, 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 blah. And balancing all these things. And then seeing her dealing with the lack of proposal, the gondola ride, just all of this. And also, like, I'm not blaming her father, but trying to emotionally just deal with.
So she has to take care of that too. Right?
Yeah, like how Fulani is, and she's just like, I don't know if I can deal with that too.
No, like she has enough going on within her relationship with Rishi to have to kind of. I think what Raj Uncle probably doesn't realize is that when he inserts himself, it becomes Monica's problem then too. It's another
and
thing.
We've all done that, you know. I'm saying from Raj Uncle's point of view, we've all been like, yes,
but like
he's
not seeing that it's like adding more emotional labor onto Monica's plate when he's also so riled up about it, and he can be riled up about it. He can have his emotions.
100.
But to make it her problem because he's speaking to Rishi about this on the regs is like tough. It's tough.
And it's hard because it's like, I also don't know what it's like to watch this firsthand with your child when they are coming home crying.
Oh my gosh, exactly.
Like for example, when I hear of, a bullying, I won't say bullying, but like someone fucking with my child, the New Yorker in me is just like, oh, well, here I go. Like just marching out puff chest, which I don't do because it's we're all the mama bears and the papa bears in situations. We just want to emotionally protect our children.
Yeah. And
so I get it.
But I think, okay, so this is some tea, which I need to share. So after maybe it was a couple episodes ago, oh yeah, like with this whole question of the Vegas wedding, what happened there, right? I put something on Instagram being like, okay, we need to figure this out. What is going on? And Nirja DM'd me, and I'm going to read this because I think it's important for people to know. And if you're listening to the pod,
did she say that you could read it?
Person. No, but she didn't say I couldn't read it.
Okay.
Essentially, or you know what? I'm just going to give the download of what it says. Basically,
okay.
Here's what happened. From what she said, it sounds like at this point, which we don't really see in the episode, Monica and Rishi are actually like, their relationship is in crisis at this point, to the point that Monica, it sounds like, was maybe not invited to the wedding because of the state of their relationship at this point. Because Nirja said in her message that she was invited to this wedding in Vegas and she was actually close with someone getting married. But she refused the invitation because of what was going on in the family. And if Monica wasn't going to go, she wasn't going to go either. So I think what we haven't seen is that, like, it seems like, oh, everything's fine. Rishi's like, oh, we're all good. Like, we're working it out. We're strong. Like, no, I think what's really happening here is they are not okay. And the families know it. And so that gives a little more context to Raj Uncle being like, what's going on here? And we're not seeing Rishi's family side of it, but clearly their family was not comfortable having Monica at that wedding, knowing that maybe their relationship was as on the rocks as it was.
Okay.
So this is what I'm getting from the communication I've had with Nirja and what we've seen and what seemed to happen. So the long story short is that Nirja was invited to the wedding, but she did not go because of the situation with Monica and Rishi.
Okay.
So that's interesting. You know, that's not something that was communicated on the show, I feel like.
It's so hard because it's like, I feel like the Robin of it all makes me second guess. I mean, obviously, you're not going to show everything on a reality show, but the Robin situation clearly outlines, and I'm not saying Monica's doing this, that you can twist the storyline and create whatever storyline you want. And I hate saying that with Monica.
I don't think Monica's twisting it. I think the producers are.
No. Yes.
Because I think they want us to still be like, are they going to get engaged or not? When it's clearly like, I don't think this is happening. Like, I think they're in more of a crisis mode than they're letting on.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean, I was like 99% sure going into this season that they're not together anymore. I still feel like they're not. But this is the answer we need. Like, we just need to know one way or the other, like either by the end of the episode or on Watch What Happens Live, like someone needs to answer this question. I can't believe they haven't had Monica on Watch What Happens Live this entire season.
I don't get it. And shout out to Amrit and Nicholas were on page 6 today. Or are
they
on
are?
page 6 today.
Oh, okay. We got to put that up on Instagram.
Okay.
Brian says that he's grown tremendous volume since Vishal and Richa's wedding, which was 3 months ago.
It sounds like
Trump,
it's like,
doesn't it?
It sounds like my kids, like I'm a big guy now, like I need my own room. And I say that kind of in jest.
Of course.
And I hope he thinks that's funny. Brian, yes. And we've all met a Brian at the bar, and has he charmed the pants off of us?
Yes.
For sure. Literally charmed the pants off of us. Yes. I mean, literally, we have met Brian in Zoom. But I think, but the thing is like, the thing that one of the things I love about him is his spirit. It's like nothing's going to hold him down. Nothing's going to cramp his day up. And there's something for me really aspirational about that.
Agreed.
That confidence. And it's because I have none of that. You know what I mean?
I know.
I ponder minute by minute. I'm like, I have not grown enough. Like I'm actually 4 steps back from where I was 3 months
I think that's
ago.
such a good read on him. And I feel like Avni also has that energy a little bit.
Oh, she glows. Talk about a woman that's glowing. We need her makeup tutorials. We need her hair tutorials. We need how she just flips her hair.
Brian was like trying to set her up with his uncle, and she was like, in that moment, I could truly be Brian's auntie.
Yeah. I mean, I think it is like this sparkle glitter aspect that we get on the show of just like, here's 2 beings that kind of float through the world. They're both, obviously everyone's unbelievably attractive on the show, but these 2 are just
next
like
level.
Blinding lights, you know? I've actually like, which we'll get into. Do you think like Luke and Avni could be a good, like if you had to set up Avni with one Bravo celebrity, which there's not a lot of men, like who would you set her up with?
Well, you know, here's the thing. Luke is like hot. He's a good looking guy.
I didn't know he was a model until Andy said it.
He's a jack of all trades, but he's done a lot of modeling. He's a tool. And the subtext with the Ashley situation.
Oh my God. And we'll get into that. Put on it. Go to Patreon. Okay. We're going to talk about that.
But I'll just say that the one thing is that I think he treats women who treat him really well. He treats them really badly. Like, I don't understand.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the opposite. I was like, I thought we were going down this road again. I don't know Luke other than Ashley. I thought you were going to just be like, if you treat him really well, he's going to treat you really well.
No, I think that he gets into like these situations with these gorgeous women and then somehow ruins it. Like, I don't know what he's doing, but like...
Well, they said the kiss of death was when you go home with him, right?
If you go to Minnesota with Luke, it's all over. I don't know what it is. Like, if it's a controlling thing or what, but like it doesn't work. So for Avni's sake, I don't.
And Luke's like 36, right?
46? Oh,
36.
Yeah. He's like probably my age. Yeah. So I think so. He's in his mid to late 30s, I would say.
Okay, can I say like the pictures do not? I don't think he's like that. He's attractive. Yeah. Listen, like he's a fine human being. Is it him moving on screen that's so hot?
No, I mean he's just handsome. Like he has a nice face. He has a like good body. Like he's very fit. Like I don't know. He's hot.
I mean, listen, and I'm not saying
that's like all I could say. He's
hot. Comparing him to Austin, and like I don't know. I do have a soft spot. Listen, I have for Shep and Austin for some reason because. We'll talk about it more on the Patreon. When you go into these introductions into a Bravo show and you kind of like you form some kind of relationship with whoever's on your screen. And it is looking back on like that, you know, freshman year of high school when you're maybe not close friends with them anymore, but you always look back on the good times. And that to me is Shep and Austin. I don't know why Craig's not in there, but like that to me is my relationship with Shep and Austin. Like, thank you. Like when we had these bullies like Thomas Ravenel.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
And Catherine just like freaking out. Like Shep and Austin were kind of like my safe space.
I know. Isn't that scary to think of? Like, wow. But yeah, so Brian and
so that being said,
Brian and Avni, like clearly they're hinting at that they hooked up again.
That they had sex.
But that they're not doing the dating thing, which I can respect.
Which
a friends with Benny's situation.
Yeah, literally with Benny.
Literally with a Benny. Okay, and the last thing I think we just have to say, Suresh Uncle's dance moves at the Sangeet were next level. Like I was like, this man can move. He looked so good doing his thing.
And for the record, I do want to highlight he is more flexible than you and me and everyone, 95% of people listening.
And what?
I mean,
he's probably like 70 years old. Like, I mean, this man, longevity, he's doing it. I just the watching him dance brought me so much joy.
There is something, and even in his presence, just even not dancing, there is something very comforting about him and very warm.
Yes.
And I think that also like reflected. And I just want to say the thing that jarred me a little bit was seeing like Crate and Barrel in the background. Like I was like, I couldn't like quite.
I know.
I was like, are we at a shopping mall? And I don't want to criticize because I'm sure it was like permits and all that shit. When I saw that, I was like, this is where they could get the permit to shoot. Like this is
was
like
outdoors,
the space. Like
yeah,
it was outdoors. Like but I was like, it reminded me of being like in Cherry Creek area, like in front of a Crate and Barrel, like in front of the Cherry Creek Mall. And so that was
blindingly bright too. Like I know. At a certain point, I was like, I'm gonna decide to tune that out because I want to see everything else going on. And like the dances, just everything. So adorable. I can't wait to see the rest of the wedding. I
do want to say, like, getting up to dance, sing, perform in front of people, I don't think we highlight enough of how
scary.
If you've done it, it's the most terrifying thing in the world.
This is not, it's terrifying. Not just like for the wedding guests. This is being filmed for Bravo TV.
Someone is going into Crate and Barrel and getting a toothbrush holder and coming out and watching you dance. Okay?
Yes. Okay.
That's your audience. Someone is going into Crate and Barrel and needs a laundry hamper with a cover on it, and they're coming out with a big bag watching you dance.
Okay, I think that's the perfect place to stop. Thank you all so much. Oh, couple other like quick things.
Yes.
So Katie Maloney from Vanderpump was on Watch What Happens Live, and she did one of those swipe right or left situations.
Which I want to talk about her on the Patreon. Okay. Lots to say.
She swiped right on Brian.
Go for it. Yes, go for it. Go for it.
I actually think that could be a good pairing. Because Brian...
Yes.
Brian is...
the new Bubba?
The new
Brian,
Bubba.
the new Bubba?
I mean... Compare Tom Schwartz to Brian. Like, in terms of humans.
Which I will go into it on Patreon this week. But I think we should post a picture on Instagram, just like Katie Maloney, new Bubba? Question mark?
Yeah, new Bubba. I could see Brian embracing the Bubba for sure.
And never forget, Brian got a tattoo on his ass. Remember?
Yes. It's on his leg, I think. Or was it on his butt?
Oh, is
Maybe
it on
was
leg?
His butt.
Brothers for life or something? Brothers forever? Like, yes. So Bubba's not going to be...
Brian is such a bro. Like, him and his dad and brother, like, drinking beers in the hotel room and getting out the speaker.
Oh, yes. And I've been to so many of those. Like, okay, this is what we're doing.
Did you catch when Brian, like, was getting Nicholas hyped up for the dance and he, like, did the, like, football tap on the ass? I'm like, this is not... like, this is so funny. Like, just seeing
I love that.
The disconnect between like Nicholas's vibe and Brian's is so funny.
I know. But like Brian's just happy to be, and that's the thing is like the weight of the world is off of Brian's shoulders, so he doesn't have that like, oh, I can't blah 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 blah. These like terrible like toxic male expectations or whatever.
Exactly. All right, friends, join us on Patreon for more.
Okay, go over to Patreon because we're going to record right now. Okay, and on that note,
bitches.
Namaste, bitches.